Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Stash Report from the Stash Project. Today is the 23rd of June 2017. We skipped a week. Really wasn't anything to talk about last week, but fortunately this week, plenty to cover. We have kit announcements from Hasegawa and Fujimi for later this summer, as well as a number of kits that have come in for the month of June. Pretty much everything on the domestic side of things has come in, as well as some stuff over on the foreign side of things. So let's just get kicked off right on into it here with the kit announcements. Now, Fujimi has announced a few things here for September. We're that far ahead. Basically, there are no August automotive kits for Fujimi. In July should be their that new Porsche that they're doing. So they are reissuing the Isuzu Piazza XE. Now, if that sounds vaguely familiar, that's because they just put it out in the what is it? Let me make sure I pronounce this right. The Yokodishu Megadoc series. Actually, I opened it right up to the right page there. That was reissued back in January? Yeah, January when they put that out. So this is going to be a reissue of the same kit, just as the civilian car with the regular wheels instead of the sort of the racing style wheels that it came with in the boxing for the anime series. They're going to be reissuing their what they're calling the Skyline 2000 GT 54A 54B. Now that is an old enough Skyline that it is actually a Prince Skyline rather than being a Datsun or a Nissan, going back really into the early 1960s. This is being done because, of course, it is the 60th anniversary of the Skyline this year, and Fujimi could not resist on cashing in on that a little bit. In the past, the 54A and the 54B have been separate kits. This will be combining the two. Really, the only difference between the two were the decal sheets, so there's not a lot of combination here, just basically giving you one big decal sheet, and then about covers it. And then the last thing they're going to be reissuing, this is a little bit of a modified tooling, is the Nissan March, which is a tiny little micro car. You may realize that they've done this kit a number of times since 2008. As a regular car, they've done a Nismo version of it. This is going to be done as a fire EMS activity vehicle. This represents a specific vehicle that was in service up until recently at the Heisei 20 Fire Department in Yokohama, Japan. This will come with a light bar, the specific graphics for this fire department, as well as a few other little bits and pieces to it. This is obviously cashing in on the little craze, may not be the right word, but the little interest that Aoshima has created through doing their various Subaru Sambar fire trucks. Basically, this Nissan March was what we here in the United States would call a fly car. Of course, our fly cars here tend to be Suburbans or Tahoes. Something big enough to carry everything around with it. The Nissan March is a tiny, tiny little car, but in a major metropolitan setting, the tiny car is a little more feasible in getting down, crowded streets and things like that. Here in Pittsburgh, we actually have EMS that rides motorcycles during major events, so. We've downsized even more than a four-door tiny car. We put them on two-wheel motorcycles, obviously. The only sort of downside to this kit that I see already is the fact that the description for it already says that for the convenience of molding, some parts may not match actual car. So basically, they're not retooling the kit itself to match the actual vehicle. They're just going to throw some parts into it that they have lying around, put some new decals into it, and hope you don't notice the difference. So it is what it is. Sometimes I wonder how close to insolvency Fujimi is sometimes. Of course, they are spending quite a bit of time and money right now on military subjects in smaller, what we call a Japanese standard scale of like 1/72 and smaller. So it's not like they're not making anything. They're just not really doing much automotive recently. Hasegawa has announced a bunch of stuff for the August reissues, and several of these are really, really cool because they are things that have not been out for a while. Hasegawa, I don't know if they have somebody who watches the show. They don't, of course, but if they did, they would take as much gleeful joy as I do in them destroying the kit values of all of their old kits, and we're going to do a little bit more of that in this set of reissues here. So August, The Subaru Legacy GT Touring Wagon. Now, this is the original 1993 kit, the factory stock kit, not a rally version. Factory stock kit. This kit has never been reissued. It was only done once back in 1993. There is a rally version of it, which is why it exists, but the regular factory stock car has not been reissued now in, what would that be, 20, no, not 20, 93 to, well, actually it was 24 years almost. So that's coming back. They're going to be reissuing their Mitsubishi Galant VR4 rally car now as the 1992 Safari Rally. So this is going to have a tarmac suspension setup, a lot of big night lights. There's a big night lights on the grill, 2 giant night lights where you would put spotlights on a police type vehicle, so big A-pillar spotlights. Some big mud flaps that are done with some sort of rubber vinyl material. And it's they've done the Safari before, so this is not a new kit or new decals. It is just a reissue, but this is like sort of taking that Galant into the next reissued step of doing the gravel rally. The previous version, of course, the tarmac rally. The Studio 27 decals for the end of the month are actually going to be the 1991 Safari Rally, and I believe the 1992 Courte d'Orve Rally. So there are going to be some decal sheets specifically for this model that will come out at the end of this month, basically a month and a half before this kit will get reissued. And they're also going to be doing the photo etch set for the Galant. So there's, some... What can you say? Classic rally right now is very hot, even though 92 is arguably not that classic, but that continues to go. They're going to be reissuing another one of their 4-door JTCC Civic race cars. This is going to be the Castrol Mugen car. This is the other kit that shares the same set of wheels that are in the Jax Civic that they just reissued. So once again, we see them reproducing all of the kits that share the same set of wheels. Be interesting to see if any more of these come out, because there are at least 3 other Civic kits that are out there that have done in the past, and they basically 2 of them share a separate set of wheels, and the one is on its own set of wheels. So be interesting to see how many of those come out. But the Castrol Mugen is like a powder blue car, and it is usually one of the more expensive versions of the kit, if you can find one at all. So nice to see that trampled back down into the $25 range. They're going to be reissuing their Sauber Mercedes C9, little Group C car there. Reissuing the Toyota Celica 1600 race car. Now, unlike a lot of times where you see a race car type theme car, you see a lot of that out of Aoshima, or the tribute race car type thing. This is a legitimate race version of the kit. And it is for the 1972 Nippon Grand Prix. I believe there's 2 different car numbers here, and I believe that would be the first and second place finishers for that race. And then last but not least, and one of my favorite reissues, just because this is a kit that hasn't been seen, I believe, since 2003, so we're talking about 14 years since the last time this came out, and this is the Jaguar XJS HE TWR Racing. So this is the racing version of that Jaguar XJS kit. Very cool kit. It's full detail. All of the Jaguar kits that were done in this series. There's the regular XJS. There is an XJS Cabriolet. There is a TWR street-tuned car, and then there's this race car. All of them have been reissued, I believe, last in 2003. So it'll be interesting to see if they reissue any more of them. Really, at this point, I would like to get the TWR street version of the race car. As it is with this race car being reissued, it will be the only thing that I don't have. I have an original version of the XJS, and I have a reissued version of the Cabriolet. The race car is just really not expensive, but just doesn't come up that much. Usually when it comes up, it sells for like $50, $65. So again, we're beating it basically in half, where the reissue price on this is around $28. But it's just hard to find. And there are at least 2 or 3 different versions of the Gia Races Macau Johnny Player Special decals for this that float around. I can't think of what the one company is called. It's a pretty obscure Hong Kong company, but it's probably the only one that has gold foil decals for this. All the rest of them are sort of yellowish. However, the gold foil decals are $70. This place, also being obscure, is also really, really overpriced. Then MSM Creations has done a set for this. A Decal Pool has done a set for this, and then Auto Color, which of course is the decal company that is owned by BMAX, did a three-part set of this. The kit as it comes represents the I don't know what year it is. I want to say it's 1984, but it represents a 24 hours of Spa car, winning version of that race vehicle. Actually, the Jaguar XJS won the European Touring Championship that year. The autocolor sheet, which I've talked to the autocolor people, and right now it's out of production, and they say they're going to reissue it. We'll have the Donington 500, the Gia Racing Macau car, as well as a Japanese Intertech version. Now, the Intertech was the Endurance Racing Series. If you've ever seen the stuff that Tamiya sells, or I believe Fujimi sold a couple of them too, that are Group N. That is what the Intertech series is. It is the still ongoing endurance racing series that is very, very factory stock. It's very close to factory stock. That's what Group N specifications. Group N specifications still exist in the FIA guidelines, and the Intertech, which I can't. There's a name for it, which again escapes my mind. I sure wrote it down, but I didn't. The thing still goes on to this day as far as that very close to factory stock racing goes. If you really sit down and you compare the Group N stuff to the Group A stuff, which was JTCC, the touring car stuff, and which became Super GT eventually, it really diverges. There are several sheets of decals by Studio 27 for the R34 GTR for Group N that if you compare what that Group N car really looks like compared to what the Super GT car looks like for the same year, it is like night and day. One looks like it's a factory car with a roll cage in it, and of course Super GT is a full-on race car. So it'll be great to have several of these kits back because they're going to destroy prices. I will get the Jaguar. I don't need anything else. Well, I'll get the Civic too, but the Jaguar is my main yay in all of this. And if there's other stuff in there that interests you, fantastic. So let's go over there's one thing I want to cover real quick before we get into the kit releases, and that is a thing from Meng. Meng is going to be doing a resin upgrade set for their F350 kit. Of course, the 2008 F350 kit they put out, I want to say, three years ago now. This is going to be a great big roll bar front roll cage push bumperish thing that it reminds me a lot of the upgrade set they did for the H1 Hummer. This is, of course, the parts as they sit in 3D render, and then here's what that would look like on your pickup truck. The only thing I really don't care for in terms of this little detail set, however you want to call it, I mean, it is going to be resin, so it's not metal or photo etch, but is the fact that with that sort of over the hood part not being a separate piece, or at least it does not appear to be a separate piece, you're essentially turning a $50 model kit into a curbside that comes with a full detailed diesel engine. So it'd be interesting to see if that really is one piece when it comes out of comes to us, or if it is a two-piece thing, because I would like to have the bumper and the wrap around the front, but the over-the-hood thing doesn't really do anything for me just stylistically, and again, it sort of kills the whole point of a full detail model when you can't get the hood open. I'm sure you could probably fish the hood out backwards, from the cowling over the roof, but then your paint job scrapes, and there's a back bumper with that, a roll bar, and some little roof rack type of deal there. Right now, if you want to get this, the most convenient and expediently and fiscally responsible way, I might add, is going through Hobby Easy, which of course is how you got your H1 Hummers in a reasonable price. This detail upset on Hobby Easy is going to be right now showing a delivery of like July 20th, and it is $18.62. If you go through either HobbyLink Japan or Hobby Search. I'm trying to get through Japan. It's basically double the price. It is legitimately like a $36 piece of resin there. I don't know why. Well, I mean, obviously I know why. It's why Japanese kits cost twice as much here in the United States. You're paying a middleman markup, but it's a really big markup. It's 100% markup, basically. So if you want this for your F350, again, hobbyeasy.com would be the easiest way to get that. They're based in Hong Kong, so China prices for all, as it were. So that'll take us into the kit releases for this month, and there are, like I said, a number of both domestic and international releases. On the domestic side of things, over at Round 2, they had releases from pretty much 3 of their labeling, names, if we want to call them that. First up is this Polar Lights reissue of the 1969 Mercury Cyclone Spoiler 2 NASCAR kit. This is going to be something else with the Coca-Cola tie-in for Bobby Allison here. As far as I know, this is just a straight reissue of their existing NASCAR kit, just with the Coca-Cola decals involved. Over at Lindbergh, they're reissuing the old, what turns out to be, I thought this was actually an old Lindbergh kit, but it turns out it's an old Pyro kit, and that is the Serpent Show Rod. This, of course, is the I'm trying to think what the scale is on this, 1/16th scale. And again, we've got that Made in the USA sticker on there. Obviously, this mold was never sent to China, and it is a straight reissue of the old 1960s Pyro tooling, if this is something that you're into. Obviously, it's got a brand new, fresh set of decals, things like that, but it is what it is, and otherwise. And then AMT, we have the 3 reissues we're working with this month. First up is the 2017 Chevrolet Camaro 50 pace car. This is the full detail kit. Obviously, as the 50 was on the glue kit, not the snap-tight kit. Indy 500 tie-in. It's actually from the 2016 Indy 500, which is amusing because they paste card the thing with a car that didn't technically exist, because the 50 came out in 2017. I realize that it probably really came out in late 2016 when the factory switched over, but it's a 2017 model year. So, if you're into Indy 500 stuff, I know that I've seen at least 2 or 3 people online say that they weren't going to buy one, but now that there's this tie-in, they are. So if you're into 8500 cars, that's there. Their reissue of the white Freightliner SDDD. This, of course, is the kit that comes with the parts to build both the single drive day cab and the double drive sleeper cab. First time ever that all the parts have been in one box. A bunch of new decals that include striping packages and things like that have not been available in any of the kits. This is the 75th anniversary edition. Kind of interesting what licensing loopholes had to be jumped through for this, because obviously Freightliner is Freightliner, but white was bought by Volvo, which of course is its own company now. To have white Freightliner, 75th anniversary Freightliner, okay, yeah, I guess technically it is, but I bet you they'd pay a couple bucks out the back door for Volvo to use the white name as well. Both of those kits are still available separately at most hobby shops. They were, not done that long ago, but this obviously is a commemorative edition. I'm sure they'll probably sell some to some truck guys who will never build it, who just have it for the special edition nature of it. And then last but not least is the reissue of the Kenworth W925 Conventional. This is primarily designed to have a Watkins Truckline logo, but there's a whole bunch of new decals here. They also had to retool a number of parts in order to make it come back complete again. So that this does lend credence to the fact that some of the kit was damaged, missing, lost, destroyed when they turned it into the T600, and they have, of course, now seen the light, as it were, and are reissuing it as the W925 for the first time since, I'm trying to think when what they said, 1989. So the first time since 1989 that they've done this kit. So that's something, that'll be the one kit this month that I'm interested in from AMT. I'm right now, I haven't bought any domestic kits probably in like 4 or 5 months, so I get around to it. Maybe when show season comes around in the fall. Right now I see no reason to basically have to drive to work on a day off, because that's where my hobby shop is, up by where I work. So And that takes us over to Revell. Revell pulled a fast one on us. They've added a kit to the June releases that was not on the sheet at the beginning of the month. And I think everybody's going to be very happy about this in terms of what it is. So let's talk about what the stuff that we were supposed to get the whole time. First up is this 1/20th scale Mystery Machine. Build and play, fun for your kids. It's made out of ABS plastic, so it's not styrene as we would consider it to be. So if you're going to glue it back together again after your kid breaks it, you're going to need ABS glue or at least epoxy or CA. It comes with the 3 figures of Fred, Velma, and Scooby-Doo, where Daphne and Shaggy are. Who knows? Then we have the reissue, modified reissue of the Build and Play in the 2008 Ford Mustang GT. I'm still not sure if this has separate headlights. The parts diagram is on the front of this box, and I have not actually held the box in my hand, again, because I haven't been at the local hobby shop in several months, to see what the parts are, because if you count the parts there's supposed to be 13 parts in this box, and if you count the parts on the front, there are 11. Now, 12 would be the glass that goes in the windows, which isn't shown on the front. So are 13 the headlights? There's still no mirrors. It is what it is. I mean, for kids, for what these 2 kits are designed for, they're great. Scooby-Doo, it's still a thing on Cartoon Network and things like that. It's still, relevant. There was, of course, the live-action movie that was not that long ago. And, of course, Mustangs are Mustangs, So for what they're designed for, they're great. I know that I'm going to see a bunch of people go out and buy these Mustang Build and Plays and try to make model kits out of them. And while I can certainly appreciate the work and effort that goes into making that into something presentable, it also just causes Revell to have no need to actually make this into a real full detail model kit when you all go out and buy this $8 Snap-Tite kit and work with that instead. I kind of wonder if these 2 kits being what they were, and the fact that I think a lot of people who were going to do one of these Build and Play Mustangs have already done one from the other ones, led to this being bumped back up, and that is they finally have gotten out the modified reissue of the 1966 Chevrolet Suburban. Sorry, I don't have any box art here, but this one is just coming into the preferred retailers right now, and nobody has a picture of the box art. But you know what this looks like. If you want to know what this box art looks like, imagine the trucks box in the background with a Skill Level 5 thing, and 1 Hecko model per box, warning on the front. So this is based on, of course, the 64, 65, 66 pickup truck tooling. Chassis, drivetrain, running gear, and all that remains the same. Basically, this is a new body as well as a new interior being put onto the older drivetrain and chassis. It's very kind of interesting. I've looked at the instructions on how this builds up. You build basically the entire body, and then you build the entire interior, and then you build the chassis, and then you sandwich it all back together again. Usually, most model kits, you start out with the engine, build into the chassis, and then you go on from there. This one, you build the whole body, paint it and everything. Pretty much the only thing you're not putting onto it when you're building it are the mirrors, the grille, and the hood. But at least when you're building the back of it, you put the whole back bumper on and everything like that. So it'd be interesting to see how well this would go together in that formula, or if that's how you have to build it, in order to get it together. It remains to be seen. I know a few people who have picked this up, so it is in stock. It is out there. If you have a preferred provider, which is people who buy everything Revell puts out once a month to get stuff in about a week early, should probably be in everybody's hobby shop by the end of the month. And this, of course, was supposed to come out in March, and then got bumped back to July, and then obviously now it's been bumped up to June. There's part of me that thinks that everyone saw what was coming out, which are these 2 Snap-Tite kits, and then there's a whole bunch of armor and aircraft junk. And I say junk in the most loving fashion, but let's face it, the IPMS guys don't buy Revell kits. They think they're junk. The other thing is going to be the Revell of Germany 934 RSR in the Valiant livery. That's not actually in yet. At least not that I have seen. I see a few people in the United States selling them, but based on the price they're selling them at, it makes me think there are people who bought them from Germany are now trying to resell them in the United States. So that kit not out yet, but those are the 3 automotive kits. I think somebody was like, you know, this is kind of unsellable this month. Could we have something better to go with? Because the Foos kit, a lot of people bought the Foos kit. That had a lot of momentum behind it. And we took all that momentum from last month. We fell into a couple of Snap Tag kits. Or maybe that was just ready early. Or, well, it's late anyway because it's supposed to already be out. But I'm interested to see why that got... Because I looked at the production sheet a week and a half after I did the June compilation video at the beginning of the month, and it wasn't on then. And then I had a friend of mine PM me last night and go, "Hey, I picked up the Suburban." I'm like, "Well, how did you do that? Because that's not till next month." And he's like, "No, it's in now." And I go back, and sure enough, yeah, it sure is. I don't know. I pulled a fast one, but it's a good fast one as far as I'm concerned. That'll be something that's, again, on that stack of stuff to get at some point. And I believe, guys, that is everything in the United States. So let's go overseas. Orange Wheels, which is the Asuka brand that makes small, these are like Honda, Corolla, small car wheels, have a set of what they're called 5-star wheels. These are 5-spoke. Basically, the gag here is that you get 2 runners in every package, and there are 2 different size wheel lips to make either a 15-inch wheel or a 16-inch wheel, depending on the thickness of the lip you use. That's why there's basically, when you look at this, there are 2 wheels itself, and then there are 4 like outer lips, and then there's a steering wheel as the little extra gag part with this. These are all 4 lugs, so again, you're looking at something small. You're looking at something import. If you want a 5-lug, 5-spoke wheel, there are obviously many choices out there beyond this. But these are brand new, and of course there's a plated version too if you want to go for a chrome plate on that. The wheels are like $8 for the regular ones, and I think $10 for the plated ones. So if something you're interested in, that's out there. We have reissues from Aoshima, and they are going to be the next 4 of those Grand Champion kits. And they are this month the Japan, what they call the Japan 2-door late Skylines. It's like a 1981 Skyline. You have the Celica 1600 GT. You have the Ken and Murray 4-door Skyline. And then you have the 430 chassis Cedric. So those are out there again. And of course, we talked about before, these are basically running the same teeny tiny wheels that are being released in all those 14-inch wheel sets. And that's basically why these Grand Champion kits are getting reissued at this point. Also on the reissue side of Aoshima, you have the, let me make sure I read this correctly, the Takahashi Ryosuke F3S RX-7 Initial D kit. This does have the engine parts with it, but it is a right-hand drive only kit because, of course, it is a Japanese anime kit, so why would it have left-hand drive? The engine parts are an engine insert. Think the GTR. Think several other Aoshima kits where you're not getting not getting the oil pan and things like that. You're just getting the top half of the engine. But it is more engine than any of the other kits would have, other than the Tamiya kits, which are, of course, long out of production at this point for the F3 SRX-7s. And then the last reissue for this week is the 1970 Skyline 2000 GTR 4-door. This kit was supposed to come out last month, and then it got punted to July, and much like the Revell Suburban, pulled a U-turn and came out this week. This is basically a reissue of the existing kit. There are some new decals in there, which include these little heart skyline things you see on the box, as well as some photo etch in there. Basically, it's license plates and a couple of little logos, nothing too much, just it's tiny little fret. But, just a little added value, basically. And then you have, let me see here, make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Nope. And then you have, sort of with Aoshima, but this, of course, is a B-Max kit, is the modified tooling of the TA64 Celica. This is the kit that we talked about in the past, where they've put new wheels, new tires, basically a whole new suspension, and a new way the front lights attach, as well as, of course, the decals have been changed to reflect the 1984 Portugal Rally. So this is a tarmac rally version of the TA64. The original one that came out a little over a year ago was the, of course, Safari Rally version, which was a gravel rally. The tarmac rally is a much lower center of gravity car as far as the height, and of course it has more of a treaded sort of slick rather than being a big off-road tire. And again, the 84 Portugal Rally is an interesting choice because of the three cars, the three works Celicas that were entered. None of them finished. They all had mechanical issues. Uh, and as with most BMAX kits, this has a specific detail upset to the specific kit. There was a detail upset for the Safari one. This is the specific one for the Portugal tarmac car, different brakes probably as well. So you get a sheet of photo etch in there, which has the brakes and it has some grills and things like that, seatbelt material. The thing in the blue bags are antennas. And then there's like 150 Dutz fasteners in there if you want to go with that route. And then last but not least are some things that have popped in that we're not expecting because everybody said they were going to be in October and things like that. And that is the Team Lotus Type 91 F1 car, is 1/20 scale, obviously, representing the Belgium Grand Prix for 1982. I believe the Type 91 that came out last year was the 1981 version, so this is different decals and things like that. And then the other thing, which is the really sort of the coolest version of this of the HY Citroen that we've seen, is this mobile kitchen. This is the one, of course, that has all of the kitchen stuff with it. So all the food, the display case, the side of it that pitches open, like the box art shows. There's a whole kitchen thing for the inside of it and everything else like that. So somebody had mentioned in a comment, 6-8 months ago when the Ebro HY came out, that they thought that this was what a coffee barista was using for their little portable sales thing, and I said, you just wait. There's going to be a mobile kitchen, and then, like I said, it said October, so it was very interesting when it just all of a sudden was like, Shazam! Hey, guess what? Here it is. So I know a lot of people were interested in that kit because of the sort of uniqueness of it. It is the only food truck kit that I'm aware of at any point in time, regardless as to who made it and when. So that is out there for your taking. So, guys, I think that about covers it for this week. We should have, of course, the majority of the rest of the kits coming in this coming week. I don't think there'll be any more kit announcements necessarily because we've gotten everything else. We should get towards the end of next week. We should get Aoshima sort of fill in for August. Their the kits they're making besides the model car stuff, and maybe we'll get their September stuff. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, guys, hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you on the other side.